Hey, how about it? We parsed through what Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni had to say about A.J. Brown as they speak in Arizona. Plus, what will Jeffrey Lurie have to say tomorrow at the owners' meetings? We play prognosticator, and we're living on the edge. Where is Aerosmith when you need him? Barrett's breakdown of Auburn rusher Keldric Faulk is on deck. Hey, good to see you. Welcome into Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. Danny Palmel's here with my guy, Barrett Brooks, the Super Bowl champ, in studio. How you feeling right now, Barrett?
I'm trying to figure out what's going down in Arizona right now.
Yeah.
You know, life is good down there. Weather's nice, and we still got A.J.
We still got A.J., and hopefully let's stick with that, and we'll jump right into it. Last night, Howard Roseman got a host of questions about A.J. Brown's future and answered them all basically the same. His first reply was, I understand that there's interest in the A.J. Brown story. Unfortunately, I don't have a home under a rock, but my answer to any question on A.J. Brown is that A.J. Brown is a member of the Eagles. Nick Sirianni took a similar approach today. Have a listen.
Nothing's changed there. AJ's an Eagle. Nothing's changed from the last time I spoke to you guys. And yeah, that's where we are.
As you're building an offense for the 2026 Eagles, how does it work, not knowing whether a key piece like AJ would be a part of it?
Yeah, like I said, everything, AJ's an Eagle. Nothing's changed since last time we talked through everything. But you're going through all the process that you go through each and every year.
Is Devontae ready to step into a role where he would be, the primary focus of a passing game?
Both those players, not to keep AJ in it, both those players are phenomenal players that have contributed to a lot of wins over the past 4 years here. Devontae, AJ, both. I think we've said that. I know I've said that a lot. Like, it's not like we have a 1A. 1B. We got 2 1s.
Yeah, that brings us to our three-point stance presented by Toyota. Stance number 1, and we put this in quotation marks, A.J. Brown is a member of the Eagles. It's a shame that we got to this point, Barrett. What do you think of how the Eagles address this matter at the NFL's annual meetings?
Oh, I mean, that's the only thing they can say at this point. They can't afford to let AJ go right now, and they can't afford to let him go until after January 1st. June 1st. June 1st. He will be a part of this organization until after that point anyway. So I don't think there's any, point in us even talking about it. Even during the draft, you're thinking, all right, well, maybe they make something happen. I don't think they can make something happen during the draft. At this point, they're too close with the cap situation. And to me, AJ is just too good of a player to let him go. Why would we let a player like that go and him not be on the roster and give up that much money in dead cap space? To me, it just doesn't make sense. Yes, we understand AJ wants to leave. We also understand AJ is also a great receiver. He will go out there if he's still in his roster and make the best of it. When I mean the best of it, he's going to make sure that he is that type of receiver, that he's going to show everybody, yes, I am a number 1 receiver. I'm one of the 5 best receivers in the NFL. I'm going to show you this time, but I still want to get out of here.
It's so frustrating that things have deteriorated
Absolutely.
to this point because we had the idea that Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown's relationship was so tight that we would never get to a point like this. But then you hear the Eagles statement, and if they weren't going to ship him out, why not just come out and just say, hey, we're not going to trade him, he's our guy, and just talk about having him on the team and being in-house?
Playing poker, bro. That's how you play poker.
Okay.
There might be an opportunity with a team like, all right, we're going to give up a first and maybe a third or maybe a fourth or something like that, with that first. That's what it is. They're going to keep his value as high as they can. And, at the end of the day, they still have AJ on this roster.
Yeah.
He still is somebody that right now, when they're over there with this new offensive coordinator, drawing up plays and getting the play selections right, he's still a part of what they're doing. They're bringing up plays for AJ as him being a part of this team. So they're not going to, just go out there, all right, we're just going to put him over in this corner and we're not even going to think about him being – no. They're customizing the offense around AJ and Smitty right now, not Smitty and whoever else is.
Right.
Yes, we got Hollywood Brown, we got those new guys, but still, AJ Brown is still the guy that's here.
Yeah, and they brought in Elijah Moore as well. But, I mean, it's just weird. What you're saying is that they're playing both sides. They're trying to keep his value high, but also trying to make him feel like he can stay.
You got to know when to hold him.
Yeah.
Know when to fold him.
All right.
And know when to walk away.
Whew, that was pretty smooth. Kenny Rogers. All right, stance 2. The Eagles have been very calculated this offseason. They've lost a host of key players headlined by Jalen Phillips, Nakobe Dean, and Reed Blankenship. They brought in a bunch of new faces, all of them on one-year contracts. So, B, what do you think of the moves so far for the Eagles here in the offseason? There they are on your screen. Of course, Andy Dalton also a part of this team now, but Arnold Ebiketie, an edge rusher that's an area of need for this team. But what do you think about the additions and the subtractions and where they are right now?
I love, like you said, Ebiketie. He's the guy that I think is going to come in and he's going to be up in that sack total. I look for him to have as close to a double-digit sack year as anybody on the team right now.
Okay.
Andy Dalton is that voice in the locker room, talking to Jalen Hurts, and somebody he needs to, fall back on. Look at the list. Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore, 2 guys that contribute at that number 3 receiver. I like what they have. Reek Woolen, I see he complements our cornerbacks as being the best cornerback situation in the NFL. We've done a lot. Jonathan Jones, that veteran guy at the cornerback position, they can play anywhere. Maybe move him to safety. There's a lot of depth that they have right there. And with Stone Smart, he's more of a pass-catching tight end. Johnny Munt, he's a guy that we really need because he's a run-blocking, pass-blocking tight end.
Yeah.
He may not have the numbers as far as, going out and catching passes, but he can go out there and block a defensive end on the line of scrimmage and blow him off the ball. We needed guys like that to run this type of offense. It's going to be a lot of play action, so you're going to need a guy like that. There are so many guys they brought in that I'm like, yeah, I see what you're doing, Howie. These are needed pieces in the whole game. You can't just go out there and always have, there's only one king and there's only one queen on the board. You're going to have other pieces on the board in order to play, and that's exactly what we got. We got crucial pieces that we needed to play.
Yeah, let's hope they address some of those offensive line issues in the draft here coming up. But let's get to our third stance, and Jeffrey Lurie should have plenty to say tomorrow at the NFL's annual meetings. The Eagles owner will speak to reporters at the owners' meetings in Arizona. What do you want to hear from him, Barrett, specifically?
Oh, I kind of wanted to see and hear a little bit about the new stadium if they're, getting that going. To me, that was interesting to me, to see, all right, at this point, are you going to get the stadium so you can get the Super Bowl here? I think that's a major reason why he wants this, because, the NFL doesn't want those.
A dome on top.
The dome, They don't want to go up past that Mason-Dixie line, as far as having Super Bowls, because it's just bad. I remember the New York Super Bowl, we just caught a break with that. But, I believe we want to know a little bit more about that and how things are going to go with that. But then I also want to know, he's, one of the best owners in the league, so how he's contributing to what's going on with rules and everything else. He's one of the best owners in the NFL right now, and what he says has a lot to do with how this NFL goes.
He's going to be asked about AJ Brown too.
I don't think that he'll come with anything other than what you heard from Howie Roseman. He's a member. He's a member.
All right.
Of this organization.
Let's hope that it's all positive and some details emerge from Jeffrey Lurie speaking at the NFL's annual meetings. Hey, the year is speeding along, folks. We're almost into April, and of course that means draft time is just on the horizon. So let's pivot to the latest Barrett breakdown with our guy B. Brooks. He's been looking at potential fits for the Eagles in the first round. Today we turn to Auburn edge rusher Keldric Faulk, and he's a bigger bodied type of edge, Barrett. 6'6", 276 pounds. Faulk was a 3-year starter at Auburn and a team captain for the last 2 seasons. He only managed 2 sacks last year, but had 7 as a sophomore. He's still only 20 years old and posted a 4.67 in the 40-yard at his pro day. So, Barrett, what does Faulk show you on tape?
He shows me that he's exactly what I'm looking for as far as a big defensive end. That's what I want. Not an edge guy, a defensive end. It's a difference. Not a linebacker-esque, but a guy that puts his hands in the ground and plays in the trenches. That's exactly what Faulk is. He has thick hips. He can get off the ball, punch. He has great hands. And when you watch him on tape, you see all that stuff coming out. Yes, he only had 2 sacks. I get it. But he's playing in the SEC. So at that time, you're looking at guys that you have to make sure that you're pushing around. These are 300-pound guys he's going on. But watch here. Watch him swims this tackle, gets in there, goes down the line, and gets the tackle. That's what you want. That's just a defensive end being a defensive end. Here he is right here. Now, you're not supposed to play it like this. You're not supposed to undercut the block. But what does he do? He undercuts the block, gets up the field, gets a tackle for loss. That's him reading, reacting, and making something happen. He's a captain. He was a captain for 2 years. Here he is in the pass rush. I love his hands, his explosive hands. He doesn't let guys get into his body. And that's what you want. Look, get his hand, get off me. Sack, Oh, almost a sack. Gets out, but that's how he influences things. Not just with that, but watch this. He also influences, I'm not going to get there. What do? If I'm pass rushing, you got to get your hands up. Get your hands up. Get your ball. He directs the pass, knocks it in the air, interception. He's influenced the play, even though it was not a sack, even though he wasn't towards the quarterback. He got his hands up in the passing lane, hit the ball up, allowed the other guy to go and get the interception. He's an impact player from the line. Not as an outside guy, but an inside guy who can play hard, gets guys off his body. And these are 300-pound guys he's going against, and sheds them and can go make a play in the run and the pass. That's what I like about Faulk. Faulk is a defensive end, and when you have a guy like that can be an influencer at the edge and a big defensive end, I love that aspect of the game. You don't see many of them these days.
Yeah, it looks like he has a great motor to go with all that power as well. And on Friday, Barrett, we discussed Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. You had him as your 5th best edge rusher in the class. As we take a look here and you look at your screen, you have Faulk one spot ahead of Howell, but you think he's a much better prospect. Is that correct?
Yes, I do, because you look at the top three, those guys are up there. They're the cream of the crop. Those are guys going to go, 1 through 15 in the draft in the first round. But then you got your second-tier guys. And I'm finding it hard to put, Keldric Faulk in that second tier because he's in between the second tier and the top tier. Because he didn't have a lot of sacks, it kind of pushed him down a little bit. But, man, his athletic talent, what he brings to the table, what he shows on film, gives him that almost there at the top, but not enough to be in the second tier. He is by far one of the guys who's going to have the biggest influence when he gets on a team, because then you'll really see what his projection is, how good he is, because you'll see him getting off the ball and really get into these NFL guys. I think he'll really make a point once he gets into the NFL.
Yeah, Eagles having the 23rd pick could be some value there for Keldric for sure. And let's talk a little bit more about this. Over the weekend, we saw Howie Roseman announce that the Eagles have added another edge rusher to the mix, signing former first-round pick Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. He was the 32nd pick by the Bucs back in 2021, but never really lived up to that billing. He's got a 15 sacks in 82 career games, I should say. He spent last season split between the Browns and Bears. So, Barrett, what do you think of this addition for the Eagles?
I think this is Howie trying to go out there and it's a shot in the dark. He had plenty of opportunities when he was in with the Bucs. He played okay. He never really got to that point where he was played into his first-round grade. He never did. But he has an athletic talent. He has everything that you want. He just didn't do the things he needed to do to become that sack guy that they were looking for. That's why he bounced around last year, So I think at this point, Howie just wants to get him on the team and say, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity. It's up to you to prove if you're that first-round guy. It's up to you to prove that you're a guy that can come in and be an instant impact. We're going to give you an opportunity to be on a team that's going to be competing, for a championship. Now you can show everybody, hey, this is who I am. This is why you drafted me in the first round. So does he have the potential? The potential's always been there. He just hadn't gone out and taken it. And I think, that's just because he just hadn't grabbed it and ran with it.
Maybe Vic Fangio can resurrect him a bit here with the Eagles.